Michael, what is going on, buddy? Playmakers, what's happening? Hope everybody is having a good week. Welcome to the Working the Wire podcast, your home for fantasy football over at BigPlay.com. I am your host, Big Play Blake. You can follow me on Twitter at BigPlayBlake. The gentleman to my left, your right, the advocate for avocado toast, the sultan of social distancing, the connoisseur of craft beer, Big Play Beats. What's happening, brother?
You know, all day, I'll be honest. You ever just feel like you're asleep at the wheel? Like you're just struggling?
Like it's just a haze, right?
All day. Then, like 15 minutes ago, Blake and I are in here, and I just lit up. I'm ready to go.
That's right, buddy. We get it going, man.
We get it
going. Tuesdays are never more fun, my friend.
Yes.
So anybody tells you otherwise is a liar. So, but guys, thank you for coming to hang out. Like I said, you are watching the Working the Wire podcast, your home for fantasy football news. We are live every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern. We also offer last-minute advice every Sunday morning for your stardoms and sit-ems. We will be available, Michael, this Saturday morning, as we do have some games going on Saturday. Please use the hashtag AskWTW. You see it right here for any and all playoff fantasy football news, my friend. Mike, it's Christmas week, my friend. How's the holiday shaping up for you?
It's good. It's been busy. I mean, not busy, actually, the opposite of busy compared to most holiday seasons. But just, hunkering down and trying to do my part. I'm not complaining this year. I feel grateful for so many things. So I'm trying to stay positive and just have a good holiday season, just have a healthy, safe, happy season,
Yeah, man. That's all we can hope for all the playmakers out there. Hope you guys have a safe and happy holiday season. However you're choosing to conduct that with your families, we hope that you all stay safe and everybody we can get through what's hopefully hopefully there's a little light at the end of the tunnel for all this. Hopefully this time next year we're all celebrating back with our big groups of families and things like that. So we'll see how it shakes out, my friend. But Mike, let's hop right into 3 and Out, my friend, and let's start with a story that I don't really think is getting enough coverage other than on social media, and that's the relationship between NFL players and fantasy football. 2 weeks ago we saw Raiders running back Josh Jacobs take a jab at fantasy owners. Last week it was Cardinals running back Kenyon Drake. And now this week, Mike, we had a situation where Niners running back Raheem Mostert was getting some nasty messages and mentions from fans after his injury on Sunday. And Mike, let's start there. And that's with the responsibility of fantasy football owners. And guys, I can't make this any clearer to you out there. Never, under any circumstance, should you ever message a player after a bad performance because your fantasy football team lost. If that guy was the one thing that made the difference and decided your fate, that's just as much it is on you as an owner as it is on that player, at least in my opinion. Mike, I don't know, you can agree or disagree. But these guys go out there and put their bodies on the line at the end of the day for our entertainment, right?
Yeah.
They are not obligated to do this in any way. It's not a required service. It's not like they're a doctor or a nurse or, something that actually, we need in this life. And fantasy football at the end of the day, Mike, is a privilege, whether people want to admit that or not. If you want fantasy football to become what gambling was 20, 30 years ago, be my guest and continue this crap, because that's where we're going to end up. And that's the fastest way to get this accomplished is if you start irritating the folks that actually put their body on the line each and every week for really our enjoyment. So, Mike, what do you think about all that?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to put it very simply to people. If this is you, be better.
Oh, absolutely.
It is a game that you play trying to predict outcomes that you knowingly choose to participate in. Look, injuries, bad games, all of that, you signed up for it. So do it responsibly and do it respectfully. Look, earlier this year, I'll give an example. I joked that I was mad at Michael Thomas earlier that, just when he was out for several weeks, he was one of my top picks. And would I ever at him or say anything bad about him? Oh, hell no. Just, there's no chance. Look, I'll say this, though. I don't like what Josh Jacobs did, or just any of the people calling it asinine or any of that stuff. But at the same time, I kind of don't blame them. Look, if you are getting death threats or whatever for getting injured or not having a great game, I don't blame them for drawing a line in the sand or saying they don't care. However, I really want to put this very clearly. I think in terms of business, fantasy football really does drive viewership. And it drives it to people outside of the hometown, right? So it's not just Raiders fans. It's not just 49ers fans. It's not just Browns fans.
Right.
So, like, to tell me that you think that's a good business decision to just tell people they don't give a shit, or sorry for my language there, but I just don't think it is a great thing. But it's also not my job to tell somebody how to go about their business. But
that was going to be my next point, Mike. Because on the flip side, you obviously have players that have made their disdain for fantasy football pretty obvious. You know, in that tweet last week, Kenyon Drake, posted that fantasy football was, like you said, asinine, right? And don't get me wrong, if the guy's getting hate mail, if he's getting threats, I can't blame him for feeling that way, and that's on fantasy football owners to do and be better. That said, if this is coming out of left field, right, and it's just a general take, which I don't think that these were by him or Raheem Mostert, obviously. And we sent out a tweet earlier this week saying we would welcome any player on the show to come on and just give us their opinion, give us their thoughts on fantasy football, right? This could be an open forum, as far as we're concerned, and we've had NFL players on the show, so in the Big Play podcast, so we're not, it's not foreign to us to have an NFL player on the show. But Mike, like I said, if this is just kind of out of the blue or a general take, it is a bad one. He mentioned something about fantasy football not paying his bills, and technically he's right. But
technically,
the organization pays his bills, right, or pays his salary at the consumer's expense, whether that is through ticket revenue or TV rights or merchandise or whatever the case may be. The organization does pay his salary at the end of the day. And fantasy football, you just mentioned, is big business. Mike, it's $1 billion industry, or bigger by this point. I know it was $1 billion industry a couple years ago, so it could even be bigger than that now. Yeah. So I would just say to those out there who are being, saying things unprovoked, they just be careful, because and I tweeted this out the other day, one should appreciate any format that the market consumes their product, right? We're obviously on Spotify, iTunes, we're on YouTube, we're on here on Twitter.
Is this a shameless plug right now?
No, it's not. But I'm
teasing. Sorry.
But, that would be like you and I coming on here, you and I tweeting out that one of those services was asinine, right?
Yeah. Any of our followers there suck or something stupid, right?
Why would we alienate $1 billion format should we have one, available to us? So I would be cautionary coming out and saying things like asinine. I think Raheem Mostert kind of handled it a little bit better. He's like, look, I go out there and put my life on the line, really, every week, because we've seen guys die on a football field. It's not like that's never happened before. Yeah. God willing, it hasn't happened a ton, but these guys are right. They go out there, put their bodies on the line each and every week, and at the end of the day, Mike, it's for nothing more than our entertainment. We can sit here and say how we have emotional attachments to teams, and that's completely true. But at the end of the day, there's nothing really attaching us to these teams, right? So
we're not.
So we're not, or to our fantasy teams. So
and I do understand people put money on the line, but that is a choice you're making, and it's still gambling. It's a risk. These things are all things you signed up for. So
and that's my other thing too, is we have people that out there that bet, make bets and things, and I've even posted some lines and stuff on my Twitter, and it's kind of the same thing. You know that going in. It's not like you called Raheem Mostert and said, "Hey man, don't get hurt this week. I got you starting." It's not. Yeah. It's not that simple. So. It's crazy, my friend. So, as Mike said, folks, just be better. Be responsible. Don't be belligerent on Twitter. You're allowed to be upset that a guy had a slow week. We do it. We talk about ugly performances here every week, but it's not, it's not in vain or vulgar or,
we're not attacking them or threatening them.
We're not attacking
Please
them.
do not.
Like, hey, look, you had a rough week last week. Keep an eye on him. That's the reason we bring up our ugly performances of the week. So,
my final point on that would be, if it's your friend or your family, I think it is your responsibility to tell them that they're being a jerk.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell them they're being a jerk. All right, but
if I saw one of my guys in one of my leagues doing that, I would absolutely have something to say.
Yeah, just let them know. Like, hey, man, that's just inappropriate. Let's get on with it. But Blake, let's get out of this drama and into some useful information. Before we go to the next story, we do have a question. Let's get Ilias Giftopoulos asked us, Aaron Jones or Monty? I think he's talking about David Montgomery. I'm going to say this right off the bat. Who are you not starting them over? Like, can you can we get a little more information, Ilias?
Yeah, say Ilias coming back from last week. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, we appreciate the return. This is awesome. But let me give us who are you starting over? Like one of those guys.
Let's get a little depth chart at running back here.
Yeah, I just want a little more because those guys, especially with their matchup this week, like I think Aaron Jones is just great. But Montgomery, I don't think you get much better matchup, and they need to win, the Bears. So,
yeah, I was gonna say Aaron Jones is very much in that.
Okay, Derrick Henry
must start.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, do you have like a flex position or?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Derrick Henry's definitely the best of those three. Yeah, I'd have to go Jones, just precedent alone. I mean, Jones is teetering on that level of must start every week, and he's going against the Titans, and they haven't been super good against the run. They've been okay.
No, and then you have an Aaron Rodgers who's just playing out of his mind, putting him in the position where he's going to be in the red zone.
Both quarterbacks, and we'll talk about the other quarterback here in a moment.
I could see that being a score fest. If I had to choose one or the other, I think that I would go Aaron Jones. Yeah. I'm with you. Montgomery's not a bad start, though. If some sort of crazy news happens with Aaron Jones, I'd be pumped to start Montgomery. Yeah, I was
slide him into a flex. Yeah, absolutely.
In a 14-team league, I was dying to get a hold of Montgomery because he was having a couple of weeks, and I was like, he's just getting this touches. He just wasn't having the luck to finish the drives, right? And sure enough, end of the season, he is just paying off owners who were able to keep him on their roster and get to the depths of the playoffs. But all right,
speaking of depth. Yeah, speaking of depth, Mike, let's talk a little bit. And we mentioned this last week on the show, and that's the handcuffing of fantasy football running back tandems. About an hour and a half prior to game time on Sunday, Ezekiel Elliott tried out that nagging calf muscle and unfortunately was unable to play on Sunday, which led to Tony Pollard having a huge day. Actually, I was tweeting you and Big Play Jay as this was all unfolding, saying, "Oh my God, I got to go pick up Tony Pollard right now," and I did. Yeah. Thank God I did, Mike. 18 total touches. I think 6 of those were catches for 132 combined yards and 2 touchdowns. And we said it last week, my friend, handcuff, handcuff, handcuff. And as we look back at the 2020 season, Mike, who, in your opinion, has been the most valuable RB2 not named Kareem
Hunt? This one I've really liked is J.D. McKissic. Okay. And for me, it's when Gibson's out now. Look, he just straight up cashes in for fantasy managers, and when he's even when Gibson's healthy or they're spreading the love, look, he's still providing value, and he did it when it mattered. Look, from the heart of the COVID issues and all the bye weeks, he absolutely crushed it. From week 5 to week 15, he has only 2 sub 10-point games. I think I counted one that was 9.9 as a 10-point game here, just to be transparent, and then he has 7 above 10-point games. And this is a guy that you consider as an RB, like he's a backup. He's not the starter. And then you have 3 that were above 15 and essentially 2 over 20 points. I think one was 19.9 and another almost 26 points in PPR leagues. That's huge. And I know as somebody who spot started him several times in that stretch, I really appreciate his value this season. It has been something that surprised me. I think we talked about it last week where we said the Redskins, we all slept on them. We did not see a lot of value outside of Terry McLaurin on the offensive side, and this is a guy who I've actually rode him a lot this year. He's really helped me out, especially in deeper leagues.
Yeah, especially with Gibson out. He's really been effective the last few weeks. And Mike, one guy comes to mind for me, and I think the low-hanging fruit here is Mike Davis, the Panthers. So I'm not going to go that route just because, obviously replacing a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who's such a pivotal part of that offense, you knew he was going to get the touches and the score and, all that. And in most formats, he's a top 10 running back right now. But, Mike, I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. Mike, he's had just as many weeks over 10 points as he's had under 5 points. So it's not like he's just been, boom here or there. He's had a number of pretty good weeks, and even those weeks where he's had under 5 points, it's still been just under 5 points most of those weeks. And obviously, Kenyon Drake owners like myself, because I have Edmonds on a team that I have Drake, Drake has been known to have some injury issues from time to time, and he's been a quality start most of this year, even when Drake's been healthy in a year that, he hasn't had that many injury issues. So, he's been a sneaky, quiet submission into the top 25. If you look in most formats, he's ranked in the top 25 in total points. And Chase Edmonds is a guy who I think, as time goes on in that Cliff Kingsbury offense, is going to be somebody who's going to get more touches, going to get more burn, as you like to call it. And I think he's going to be I don't want to use the word stud, heading into 2021, but he's a guy that could be the next, Kareem Hunt, as in terms of leveling out the touches, right? So,
yeah. Does it remind you of Austin Eckler a little bit?
It does when they had Melvin Gordon. Yes.
Yes.
It reminds me a lot of that situation. I think even back to like a Dalvin Cook and Madison at the beginning of the year, push in mind of that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that he has been. I tried to go back and think of guys that I drafted as a handcuff that have helped me this year, and he was one of those guys. Because Mike Davis, for most people, was a pickup. Just because they were unsure about how that backfield was going to look besides McCaffrey. So, I think a lot of that was me thinking, okay, who did I actually draft as a handcuff? So, no, I like both those picks, my friend. Let's jump into story number 3, Mike, and this is my Christmas gift to you, and I can see you've already read ahead in the notes, so you know what I'm about to say. And like I said, you can wrap this up, put a bow on it, Michael. My Christmas gift to you, and something I will admit that I don't like to do this often. You can ask Medium Play Megan. I was wrong on.
Hey, it wasn't always obvious.
And that is that Ryan Tannehill is a legit QB1, my friend. So far this season, Tannehill is averaging over 21 points a game in standard formats. He's had 4 games right at or above 30 points. Makes him 6th rated, which is really a perfect spot in my opinion for him. Because, Mike, I don't see anybody else behind him that could leapfrog him into this point. Outside of those top 5 guys like Russell Wilson, Mahomes, Rodgers, Murray, Allen, he's bar none the best out there this season. His performance puts me in mind of what I thought we'd see from Deshaun Watson before the DeAndre Hopkins trade, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that 6 to 8, throw you 30 touchdowns, not throw a ton of interceptions, run efficiently, because he's run the ball really well too. Of late, he vultured that touchdown from Derrick Henry this week on the goal line. So, whoever took mid to late round flyers on your boy Artani, they're thanking their lucky stars this week, my friend.
Yeah, look, I appreciate the gift. I'm just going to sit here, pat myself on the back. Look, I pointed out him early on, and I was saying he still had it last year, so I'm really excited for this. Selfishly.
You were very much ahead of the curve on this last year. I can actually recall an episode of the Big Play podcast where we did fantasy locks, and you locked in Ryan Tannehill one week, and I can actually remember myself and Big Play Jay laughing at you on live television.
Yeah. Hey, look, I just thought he was in a bad situation in Miami prior to Flores coming in, and it fit for him, and we saw how bad Mariota was last year. That's all. Anyways, look, the thing we need to point out about this is it shows you something about quarterbacks and fantasy. You can get great value later in the draft. Remember this next year when you're freaking out if you have to get Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or, whatever. Josh Allen, right? Like the key with Josh Allen this year, why he's so great is a lot of people still got good value for him. Tannehill went out. He crushed it last week, and I appreciate this gift. But my gift to you, Blake, here is that I'll actually use that to transition us into the film room because my boy, Ryan Tannehill, is my usual suspect.
Nice segue.
Yeah, so since he took over last year, he's QB9. And that's like a new offense starting last year. And that's an offense that wants to run the ball down teams' throats. They want to control the game with the ground. But at the same time, he can blow up when they need it. And he is consistent. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. If the game flow is going his way, last week the evidence of this, 37 fantasy points, 273 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 21 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Look, he's always had the legs because remember at Texas A&M, he was a wide receiver before he had to transfer back to being a quarterback while he was waiting his turn. So look, he is just flat out balled for fantasy manager. I was happy to be ahead of the curve on it, and I'm just happy for his success. And if anybody got him with a good value,
And I don't like to call attention to obviously other programs, but there's another pretty well known fantasy pundit out there that said there's definitely a trend of players that have played for Adam Gase and then moved on to have really good career development after they've moved on from Adam Gase as their offensive coordinator.
Let's watch Sam Darnold in the offseason is what you're saying, maybe? A little hint to the playmakers?
Maybe. We'll see.
See, that's what's hard. It's so difficult, but I mean, to me, I thought Darnold was one of the I actually liked him. I thought him, Allen, Mayfield were, I don't know about similar level, but I don't know. I thought they're not locks, but close to it. I don't know. I really like Darnold, so I'm going to watch that closely.
I've never trusted any USC quarterback not named Palmer, but go on.
That's fair. That's fair. Leinart was a bust. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Another guy who's given some great value to people this year, the unexpected, and I'm saying this because it's his season production, Robert Tonyan. Look, not one, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 weeks in a row. Robert Tonyan has
LeBron.
a touchdown. Yeah, that was the reference. There you go. But look, he's leading the NFL or the tight ends in the NFL in touchdowns. He has 10 on the season. This past week, as I said, was 5 weeks in a row with the touchdown. This is like just overall the whole season unexpected for me. Like, I think that position was one we were all guessing at going into it. If you can get a piece of a hot Aaron Rodgers, you do it. For me, in a lot of leagues, this was the one I was able to land. But yeah, I'm excited for Bobby Tonyan. Go get you some and keep being unexpected for us. On the opposite end of that, in that Packers team, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. MVS, look, playmakers. He's a guy. He made me look like a genius literally last week. If you remember going into the playoff stretch, I said he's a guy, if you are in a bind at wide receiver, he is your boomer bust guy. Go get him. So like say last week you had Michael Thomas and you just really, it's a deep league. You can't fill in for him. He had just juicy matchups for the last several weeks of the season. And I did say with the caveat of the boomer bust, look, week 14 goes 20.2 points. That's a huge boom. But week 15, he busted like you can't. Like it's almost as bad as you get. Almost as bad as you get. 0.0 points on one target. No injury, nothing like that we know of. So, yeah, buyer beware if you're getting MVS, but just know what you're getting into there.
Yeah.
How about you, Blake?
It's a very good point, my friend. So I'm going to start with my usual Mike, and this should come as a surprise to nobody. The only reason I bring him up because he's that obvious of a guy is just because I think this is just a sign of things to come for the next 5, 6, 7 years with this team. And that's DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals. 9 catches for 169 yards and a touchdown, Mike. Double-digit targets the last 3 games for D-Hop. And he's had just 5 weeks all season with 11 or fewer points. So he's been in double digits pretty much every week other than a handful. He's got a game versus San Francisco coming up, who he went off on last time for 151 yards on 14 catches. So D-Hop, as usual, should be in your lineup. And, the one to call attention to this for our dynasty guys out there should be 100% one of the guys you keep heading into 2021.
Yep.
Mike, a guy that I'm going to be looking at to probably add to my team in 2021. And I mentioned him earlier in the show, my unexpected Tony Pollard, running back, Dallas Cowboys. Huge day and a last-minute start for Ezekiel Elliott, who was out with that calf injury. 8 total touches for 132 combined yards and those 2 touchdowns. And this was against a usually stingy 49ers rush defense that ranks in the top 6 in both rushing yards and touchdowns allowed. So a bit of an unexpected, when you throw, and you played football, Mike, and a lot of playmakers out there probably have played football. You get thrown in last minute, it kind of throws off your rhythm a little bit. And I think Tony Pollard took that in stride. And, those of you like myself that went out and grabbed him either pre-game or earlier in that week because Zeke was having that nagging issue, it paid off big time for you. It paid major dividends. He led all running backs this week.
Yeah, 31.2 points in PPR leagues. That's phenomenal for a handcuff. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, massive week. Mike, guy that didn't have a massive week, and this is a very unusual performance for this guy this year. And the only reason I bring him into the conversation for ugly this week is to just call attention to his injury, and that's Keenan Allen, the wide receiver for the LA Chargers. 1 catch for 17 yards, had 3 targets. He only ran 12 routes before he aggravated that hamstring injury that's been bothering him. And again, Mike, this is just strictly to point out to watch his health in this week. Obviously, we're in championship season, championship week for most of the playmakers out there. So just keep an eye. If you have Justin Herbert as your quarterback, obviously if you have Austin Eckler as your running back, these guys are all tied into, Keenan Allen being healthy. So definitely keep an eye on that for this week because maybe something you may have to have a streaming start or something in your back pocket ready for Keenan Allen. So, but Mike, let's jump into fantasy locks, my friend. And it's been no surprise how this season's gone for me. I am killing it, buddy.
Let's go, Blake.
I'm gonna take all the credit I can get for my locks this year. Hit on my 9th of the year, my friend. Last week's lock was Brandon Ayuk from the wide receiver from the Niners. As DJ Khaled once famously said, another one, Michael.
I love it.
9 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Don't expect that to continue. It is a QB nightmare in San Francisco right now. They
just added Josh Rosen,
Yeah, Nick Mullins is having Tommy John surgery, which leaves, I don't know, you call
CJ
it
Beathard,
Beathard, whatever.
Yeah.
Third-string quarterback. I don't remember his name because of that reason, but he's obviously the lone ranger out there right now. So they, like you just said, went out, signed Josh Rosen today off the Bucs practice squad. just to give them an emergency option. It's kind of like an emergency goalie in hockey. They brought in, a guy off the streets just to have a warm body there. So definitely don't expect anything out of the Niners wide receivers till next season at this point. So that was fun while that lasted. My pick this week, Mike, and this is a guy who has had a quietly okay season. I mean,
once he got healthy, right?
Yeah, once he got healthy, that's Zach Moss, the running back from the Buffalo Bills. He's pacing Devin Singletary in touches as of late, and they're going against the Patriots defense this week, who he ran all over earlier in the year, Mike, for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns on 14 carries. And let's face it, for the first time since 2008, Mike, the Pats have been eliminated from the playoffs, and they're also giving up the 12th most points to fantasy running backs. So don't expect the Patriots to come out with their hair on fire this week. It's definitely going to be I think a game very much in the Bills' favor. Bills Mafia going nuts.
Yeah, I could see the Pats playing a lot of young guys, trying to figure out what they have in them, and just getting draft picks, trying to set up for their future. So I could see them really phoning it in. I want to point something out that supports this comment. Zach Moss finished the games for the Buffalo Bills as of recent. When it's the last drive and they need that first down to ice the game, Zach Moss has been on the field, so he's getting. I love seeing that. That means there's trust there. It means they're really developing something.
Well, and if you've done fantasy football for as long as we have, and I'm sure most of the playmakers out there have done it for, Week 16 gets a little funky. Once teams have clinched playoff spots, that's why in some leagues I've even heard of them bumping it playoffs a week to, like, last week was their championship week, right? Yeah. So because of this, and that's the tendency for teams to either sit guys or put guys on strict pitch counts, especially if they have a seed locked up. So, or they have just a wild card locked up, whatever the case may be. I remember one year I had Peyton Manning when he played for the Colts, and he played one drive in a game and then sat for the rest of the game. Yeah. So, and it cost me a championship. So, so Devin Singletary owners, buyer beware. You made a great pick picking him up, but keep an eye on that. May fall into Moss's favor this week. So.
Yeah. Either one of those guys are great to have, but I think Zach Moss is a really good find if you're looking for somebody. Look, Blake, I was not as good as you this week. I had a very mediocre performance for my lock. Sterling Shepard, 4 catches, 51 yards, and -3 rushing yards, so just under 9 points. It was fine. But I promised a lot more, so I'm not giving myself a point. Look, if I was in a pinch and I got that, I'd be okay with it. But right. I really saw him being a guy who would put up some numbers. I thought the Browns, like they did, they controlled the game the whole time, and I thought Colt McCoy would be serviceable enough versus a really banged up Browns secondary. Ward did play, but I don't think he was shadowing Shepard the entire game. So I'm not happy with this one. I reward no points. And may God have mercy on my soul. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, I know that from my own experience last week. Ward was on Darius Slayton a whole lot because ultimately ended up losing a playoff game because I couldn't get a whole lot of burn out of him. So yeah. But could have done more on my end, so that's on me. But who's your lock this week, buddy?
My lock this week, we have Jeff Wilson Jr. Look, he each week is a guy that I am worried he's going to vulture a touchdown. I had Mostert in one league. I didn't end up playing him last week or anything, but good news for Jeff Wilson Jr. Is that Mostert was just placed on the IR. He's done. High ankle sprain. He's done for the year. Tavon Coleman only took 4 of the carries after Mostert went out. Jeff Wilson was already, as I said, the guy who stole touchdowns, but now he's going to get the volume. Look, not only did he have 6 rushing attempts last week, he had 4 targets. The week before, he had 3 targets, and the week prior to that, he had 5. So this is a guy he's going to get points some way or another. So this is a guy I could see booming. This is a guy I'm really excited about. I like the matchup. He's a guy that I'll grab, but then this is something we've talked about a little bit the last few weeks, but we really want to make sure playmakers are being aware of. There is no reason to stash guys on your bench at this point that aren't going to play for you. Take people away from who you're playing. If they have Zeke, if they have somebody who's a little banged up, or you start to hear something, go pick up their handcuffs. So if somebody's looking at a running back and you're like, they're not sure who they're going to pick up, you should be picking up Jeff Wilson tonight. People need to be, if you want to win it, you've got to be cutthroat a little bit. You got to go take away the person that they're going to use to beat you. especially this year. So look,
I completely agree, and I love the pick. Mike, see, we have a comment. Big T joining us again this week.
Hey, Big T, welcome back
to the show. Yeah, man. So he's giving us his championship team this week. He's got, I guess we're getting asked who he should start this week. I'm going to assume this is a 1-2-2-1 format. So he said quarterback Hurts or Wilson. Running backs are Cooks, Jacobs, Carson, and Davis. Wide receivers, McLaurin, Lockett, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, Waller, Kelsey. God, I want to draft against who you draft against. My goodness.
God, if you have a super flex, I think you play both your tight ends almost, right?
Yeah, I'd be really I'd be really tempted to.
Yeah.
Mike, I'll start with the quarterback, and I'm gonna go homer pick here. Actually,
look, the Eagles.
The Eagles play. Actually, you know what? I'm going to surprise you here, Mike.
I think this
Out
is
of left field, two flexes on top of the 2 and 2. Okay, so it is super flex. Got it.
That's sick.
So
you've got to get 2 flexes, 2 running backs, 2 wide. Wow. Okay, this is a big scoring league.
The Rams currently have, and I'm looking here, the best pass defense in the league, and Russell Wilson had a stinker against them.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts threw 4 touchdowns on Sunday, Mike.
Yeah. And he's going up against a not great Cowboys team.
Cowboys rank in the bottom 5 pass defense.
Yeah.
I'm going Hurts. I'm going crazy here. I'm going away from my boy, and I'm gonna say Hurts at QB.
It's so important. Matchups are so important. Look, I would. It kills me to say that I wouldn't start Russell Wilson. Right, all year. What have I said? Go with your horses. Ride your horses. But Hurts has proven that he is more than a capable quarterback. And then you add the fact that he can run with his legs.
Right.
Like, he's an excellent runner, and his pocket presence has really improved. Like, the fact that he's not leaving the pocket too early, is giving himself a shot at it, then making a play with his legs. So I surprised myself as well. I'd go Hurts.
Yeah, I absolutely would as well. Mike, let's move on to his running backs.
So let's pick 2 of these guys. Dalvin Cook
is a must start against anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
As far as the other ones, so Jacobs, Cooks, or Davis, I'm going to assume that's Mike Davis. We just mentioned Chris Carson going against the Rams. Not a great matchup there.
No, I don't like that matchup at all.
Falcons are playing the Dolphins. Additionally, not a great matchup. And then the Panthers are playing Washington. So really 3 tough D matchups.
Yeah. But Jacobs, the Raiders have the Dolphins. My bad. I didn't follow.
Just going to go off game flow here. Man, that's a tough one.
That's a really tight one.
I would definitely not use one of these guys as my flex. I'll put that much to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 3, I think the most consistent all year has been Davis, and I think that's probably the weakest. Man, that's just such a tough matchup question.
The hard part is don't make the decision on Davis yet. McCaffrey is a possibility to play. So first off, don't just lock that in. You can't fall asleep on that.
Can't fall asleep on that. So let's just say, for the sake of this argument, McCaffrey plays. That eliminates one of these guys for us.
Okay.
God, Mike, I'm leaning Josh Jacobs here. I really am, because the Seahawks could be playing from behind very early in this game.
Which Carson can catch the ball out of the backfield.
He can, but the problem is it's usually the Russell Wilson downfield show, as it's been all season.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so you're going Jacobs.
I would say Jacobs, Cook.
Yeah, if McCaffrey's out, I'm going Davis.
If McCaffrey is out, yes.
Yes.
Or McCaffrey is in.
If McCaffrey's in, Davis is out for me. If McCaffrey is out, Davis is my choice. I'm gonna go with. Oh wow, that is a horrible choice. I'm gonna go Josh Jacobs as well. Carson, for me, he barely edges out Carson there. It's just he is the number 1 running back there, which I love. All right, so let's go wide receivers. You got Terry McLaurin. Lockett, Marvin Jones Jr. or Brandon Cooks.
Receivers here, the top 2 are pretty obvious. Go with McLaurin and Lockett, even though Wilson's not in a great matchup, because DK Metcalf's going to pull Jalen Ramsey. So if Wilson does happen to get a touchdown or 2 off, it's likely going in Lockett's favor. Marvin Jones is playing against the Bucks. Don't love that matchup.
No, I hate that matchup.
And then Brandon Cooks is facing, let's see here, the Bengals. So, I'd give Brandon Cooks a second look. I'd probably lock Cooks in as one of my flex, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think the things to consider as well is if the team you're playing against is just consistent scorer, you don't need a boom or bust. I think Cooks here. if you're really looking at you need a boom or bust, like say you get down early or something, you could go Wilson and Lockett and really double down. Yeah. I think you're right.
I guess my thinking in going Hurts over Wilson and then Lockett here is I don't want the Seahawks to fail me twice.
I think that's a really good decision.
If you have some faith that Wilson's going to pull off something, I mean, hell, the Jets just tore apart the Rams, so who knows what to believe at this point.
It's so confusing.
But I really think now that the Seahawks, they basically signed off on a playoff spot. I don't expect the Seahawks to play with their hair on fire, and I don't expect the Rams to not come out pissed off. So, I'd have to go. I'd probably go McLaurin and Lockett just because I think Lockett's just that much better than the other two options.
Yeah.
Both in talent and otherwise in quarterback play. The matchup's not quite conducive, as to a Brandon Cooks, but Herbert, Jackson, Chubb. Yeah, I'm probably going with what I said. I would go McLaurin and Lockett, and then I'd probably go Cooks and whatever tight end you don't want to start at tight end for my flex, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Waller has just been downright. He almost beat me. He almost beat me in a league last week. I got lucky that they missed that McManus wasn't playing. I'm kidding you not. I won by 2 points and they started McManus. So Waller, he's great, and you can't. Kelsey's a great wide receiver, let alone tight end. So, you play both. I think you play both those guys. Ravens D and Young Ho. Yeah, I think you're in a great spot there.
Yeah, I say Ravens D is going up against who they play in this week. They play against the Giants, so Ravens D should be a great play there. Young Ho, they're playing the Chiefs, so it should be.
But that's
ish. We'll see.
The key is where's that game at? I actually forgot to look at the weather there.
It's
at the Chiefs. Eesh. I actually usually love Young Ho just because the Falcons play so many dome games, but at Chiefs, that's a tough place. It's cold. It can be windy there. I'd watch that weather for sure for your kicker and maybe pick up a better streamer if you have. All right. We got another couple questions really quick here. We got Chill Will coming in. Gallman, Mike Davis, if CMC doesn't play, or pick up Gio or Le'Veon off waiver for RB2. And this is for a PPR league. I do not want Gallman this week. I'm avoiding. I liked him earlier. I had a bunch of good things with Gallman. He's going to put up average, maybe pedestrian numbers. Mike Davis, if CVC doesn't play, absolutely. And do you not like Gio? Like, he had another good game this last week. Clearly, the Bengals haven't quit. They're playing a 4-10 Texans team that's not great on defense.
I would probably go, and this is going to be crazy because I'm kind of critical of him this year. I'd probably go Le'Veon. Looks like Edwards-Helaire is not
situation,
going to play. And the Falcons' defense is atrocious, as we saw on Sunday, as the Bucs come back on them. So. I'm looking at Le'Veon Bell to have a big week. He was nearly my wire pickup, but I don't think he fits our little mold.
Not our criteria, right?
Use.
Yeah.
So, but he's a guy that's not owned in a bunch of leagues. So I would definitely consider Le'Veon Bell in this situation, just based off of him being the guy this week.
Yeah.
So.
Are you at all concerned that like a couple weeks ago he only had 4 touches? He even came out and was like, "I'm confused about this. I don't know." I agree with you that he's in a great situation with Edwards-Helaire being out. I
don't necessarily would use concerned as the buzzword there, but I would just say that I think he was just still finding his place in the offense. It's definitely Clyde Edwards-Helaire's show. They brought Le'Veon there just on that short deal, so it's kind of an audition for him, and I understand his frustration. You can't get audition reps in if you're not getting the ball, but here's his time to shine. So,
yes,
Big T in with another
Big
question.
T. Yeah, would you start Pollard over Carson or Mike Davis if Elliott doesn't play? If Elliott doesn't play, and from what I'm gathering, I don't think Elliott's playing. It sounds like he tweaked it on Saturday. There's nothing for him to gain by playing. He's hurt. I just don't see why he would play. So absolutely, I would start over and Mike Davis. Yeah, I think Mike Davis hasn't absolutely boomed very often, and Pollard obviously showed he can do it all.
Right.
Yeah. So I to finish Chill Wills, I would go Mike Davis and I would go Gio, I'd go Gio actually. I just think they're going to keep trying to win there.
I would go Le'Veon.
Yep, I don't think Le'Veon's a bad play either. So you'd be happy. I'd be happy to be in that situation if CMC's out. I'd be okay with that.
One more question snuck in here before we hit hell no hell yeah. Tyreek Hill or Calvin Ridley, man, another good situation to have there. I would probably say, just based upon the defenses, I would say Tyreek Hill. So that is the best quarterback in football throwing him the ball.
I do have the question: do you have any fear that the Chiefs are up 28-0 and they're just literally trying to end the game as fast as they can?
Solid chance of that, but Mike, if you look back historically, the last 2 seasons, the Chiefs don't take the foot off the gas, even late in the season.
Yeah.
So
what I like about this is they have to lock up that playoff spot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not the number 1 seed. It's the only bye, so they really want to lock it up this week.
Right.
Who are they? I would love to see Louis. I think we're both in agreement that it's Tyreek Hill. Ridley is a great person. Who are you starting over him? I would love to be in that league to be in that situation. Chill Will, I agree. Yeah. I'm thinking Gio for volume. That's what I was that's where I landed as well. But Le'Veon's a good choice as well. We'll do Hell No Hell Yeah. If we get more questions, we'll pop back into them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep them coming. Thanks for the questions.
Let's mix in a little holiday cheer, my friend, with Hell No Hell Yeah this week. Let's ask strictly Christmas questions only. I'm going to do you and the Playmakers a solid and take off my Grinch hat for a minute.
Should I give you I'm going to give you an air horn for that. Look at this guy.
So, Mike, like I said, buddy, let's stick with some Christmas questions this week for Hell No Hell Yeah. And, Mike, I'm going to stick to Christmas but also stay a little Grinchy, if you will. Mike, the appropriate date to have your decorations down and put away by is the first weekend after the first of the year. Hell no, hell yeah.
I'm going to say decorations down. Hell no, hell yeah. First week of the year. Yeah. Hell yeah. Look, I'm not a Grinch. I just think seasonality. Like, if you're getting all into it, get them down. I don't like the people that have them up all year. Honestly, I get it. People don't want to go out in the snowy weather. I'll make an exception. If you're older than 50, you can have as long as you want to take them down. Younger than that, get them down. Keep with the seasons, Yeah.
I like that.
Very, very specific answer for me, I feel like.
Yeah, I laugh, and medium play Sue is going to get me on this one. She, 1 year, had I think our Christmas tree up till Memorial Day. So,
man, she basically should have held on to Christmas in July at that point.
We joked and said it was our 4th of July tree. We were going to put red, white, and blue lights on it. So,
yeah,
but she'll come in chat if she's watching. She'll come in chat and claim her innocence here and say it was down by March, but it wasn't. So,
March is still pretty late, Blake.
Yeah. So,
man,
I know people that keep. I know at least one person that keeps it up year round and just does different themes on it. Like they decorate their house.
And I respect that because that's steering into it, right?
Yep.
I feel like you've got dogs kicking around those feet. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Dogs down in the man cave in the studio? I love it.
Play pups down here in the studio.
I love it. All right, Ilias has another question. Is one of his 8 leagues. Man, you are up there, man. I'm in 5, and I feel like it's a lot. I love it. Allen Robinson, Ayuk, Woods, Julio, Jefferson. Which 2 do you pick? I feel like that is a tough one. I don't love Ayuk's matchup this week, even though he was your pick last week, right? I mean, that Seahawks defense is not really slowing people down. Would you go? I'm leaning towards Jefferson, who's been just absolutely on fire lately, right?
Right.
And then who else would I go with here? I'm checking the matchups again here, Ilias. I hope I'm saying that right. If you give me the phonetic spelling, I'd be really happy with this. My thing is Julio. What do you feel about Julio? I don't trust his injury.
I think the injury, he got that platelet-rich plasma
in
his foot. And they're saying that he wants to play, but the Falcons are out of playoff contention. I mentioned this here coming up with my wire fire pick. There's no reason to rush him back. So I mean, I think if Julio plays, he's probably not going to get the amount of targets that Calvin Ridley or Russell Gage get. Now, let me say, if Julio Jones is healthy, you start him. If it comes out and they're like, hey, no restrictions, he's good to go, you absolutely start Julio Jones. He's a must-start in every format.
Okay. So I think he's not going to play. I think I go Allen Robinson and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
That's my pick out of those other ones.
Yeah.
But I think Woods is a great play as well. Yeah, if Julio, I think I'm taking Julio out of the picture here.
Yeah, I would definitely leave Ayuk on my bench just because there's going to be nobody throwing him the ball, So it'll be a tough matchup for the Niners and any of the receivers. So.
Yeah. All right.
But Mike, I'll move on to my next question, my friend. And Mike, this one I guess comes from the same sort of vibe, if you will. Mike, some people would call winter cuffing season, Michael. And as we get into the dreary dog days of winter, speaking of cuffing, a lot of couples out there, Mike, are going to be celebrating engagements this holiday season. So, hell no, hell yeah. Is Christmas an appropriate time for you to ask that special someone to combine your taxes and entitle them to half of your stuff?
Wow, Blake, that makes it sound so romantic. Let's go with hell yeah. It's appropriate.
I actually got warned. I'm not even going to say warned. I got threatened.
Really?
By Medium Play Megan.
Okay.
She said, obviously we had been together a number of years, and she said, if you ask me on my birthday or a holiday, I will say no. She goes, that is so cliche. So
okay.
she was out on the holiday or the birthday popping the question.
Yeah, I'm out, and my wife was very much out on public things, anything public. So it was very just us and her and I as best we could.
I would not say Medium Play Megan was out on public, but she was definitely not thrilled if I'd have done it in public. She's very shy.
Okay. Blake, we got a couple questions. We're gonna really quick hit it up. Would you go Hurts for upside or Tannehill for the safe floor? This person is going up against Mahomes, and it's a 2-week Super Bowl.
Let's look at the matchup.
So we know Hurts already did it, right? He already had a big week. Tannehill had a big week. Whew. Are you in a bad situation? You're not in a bad situation, man.
Last week, or did it start this week?
Oh, yeah. Does it start That's a very good question. Does it start this week or last week?
So let's assume, Lucius, if you can give us a...
I'm betting it started last week. That's what I'm going to go with.
Let's see. Who asked that question? I lost it.
It's Chill Will there.
Chill Will, yeah.
Yep. Let us know. Is that...
an idea if that starts
it starts this week? Oh, man.
Yeah, so, man...
I still like Hurts. I love Tannehill, but Tannehill is that safe guy. I agree.
Hurts is playing the Cowboys. Let's look at matchups here. Hurts plays the Cowboys.
Well, that's why I love it. Yeah.
And then plays. Let's see who they play. And then plays Washington. Don't love that matchup. I'm assuming you have to start them for both weeks. If you start them this week, that's just the assumption I'm going to go off of.
Oh.
Tannehill plays the Packers and then plays the Texans. So I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill here.
I'm assuming you're okay. I actually, if you have to start them both, I go Tannehill. If you don't have to, I go Hurts this week, Tannehill next week.
Yeah.
So.
That would be fair too. That would be my. If you can swap them, that's the way I'd go. If you can't swap them, would definitely go Tannehill both weeks.
All right, we got a new question. We got a new playmaker in here. Lucius Vornis, 44. Love the number. That's my college number. I'm gonna be cool with that.
There you go.
Rank
Mike
these QBs for this week. You got Brady. What did you say?
I said Mike found a friend.
I do. I got one. Mom, I did it. All right. Here we go. Going back to it. Brady, Lamar, or Hurts. Oof. We've been all over Hurts's bag this week. So let's look at Lamar and Brady and their matchups. I want to double check this here. Lamar versus the Giants in a must-win situation. We saw what Lamar did to the Browns defense. Whew. And Brady, I just don't see Brady throwing up 30, and I think your chances of 30 coming from... So first off, I eliminate Brady, right? He's my third.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a toss-up for the other two because I love their matchups, honestly.
I'm probably going Lamar here, just because I think the Giants are probably the weaker of those two matchups. And Lamar had a big week last week. I think Lamar's finally getting into his groove, albeit a little late. I think Lamar is the route I would go there. So I'd say Lamar Hurts then Brady.
I think Lamar just edges out Hurts, though.
Yeah,
I think
fairly.
if you started Hurts, you're not wrong this week with that matchup. All right, we got two receivers then. You got to pick Thielen, Godwin, Metcalf, Hilton, or Emmanuel Sanders.
Me and I read ahead here in the questions. I
Hmm.
don't like Thielen against the Saints. I think the Saints, Sean Payton puts me a lot in mind of Bill Belichick. He takes away your best option. I
Yeah.
think Adam Thielen is that option. And they have a stud secondary in New Orleans, rather.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at matchup play here. Godwin's a must start going against the Lions. Probably not going to draw Jeff Aduka. That's going to be Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And then Hilton, Metcalf, or Sanders.
I think it's
Man,
Metcalf, right?
I would say Metcalf. The only problem here is Mike. I don't know because I
Do you want
think
me to look up what he
there's
did last time against the Rams?
Yeah. I don't think that happens. And I said Thielen, and then you look at a guy like T.Y. Hilton who's going to be going up against the Steelers. It's kind of you're not all the matchups aren't great in this situation.
Wow,
so
yeah.
Other than Godwin, so at that
4.8
point,
points last time against the Rams for DK Metcalf. That was lower than I even
Yes.
remembered.
So having read the rest of these options, I'm probably going with Thielen and Godwin and leaving Metcalf, Hilton, and Sanders on my bench. Sanders definitely no. Hilton probably the fourth option there. But then Godwin and Thielen probably get the start for me. So
I love Big T's chiming in here, giving his advice. If he struggled last time, which he did, 4.8 points, you start him this time. I love, because if you remember, last time DK was called out, he really showed out.
Right.
I hear your point, but Jalen Ramsey's a competitor as just as well as DK Metcalf. So you know what? I'm starting Metcalf. I struggle to get away from one of the top receivers this year. Somebody that I've really liked. So I'm going Metcalf in. I actually go Thielen here. I know you don't love him in that matchup. I just don't like how many mouths there are to feed in with Godwin's situation.
I just think they're going to I think they're going to put Aduka on Evans, and that's going to be the number one option. And I think Godwin's going to be set up for a big week.
Yeah, you're not worried about AB getting his first touchdown last week?
Nah.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I
Not
like it.
concerned. AB is a has-been.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Mike, let's jump into your hell no hell yeah, my friend. We'll follow up with any questions here towards the end of the show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Hey, great
Blake,
questions though. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we love it. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Blake, hell no, hell yeah.
Friends.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Please share it. Like it. Give us the thumbs up. All those good things. Blake, hell no, hell yeah. Do you like NFL football on Christmas Day?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Mike, I think where I'm coming from with this one is any extra televised football is good football.
Yeah.
Unless you own the Sunday ticket, which obviously that's not a majority of our playmakers out there. So
Yeah.
just judging by giving us extra football to watch, yeah. And let's be honest, how many of us just sit around the dining room table and play rummy after the presents and food are gone?
Oh.
None of us. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely. Holiday football is good football because not only do you get to watch it because it's televised, but also you can enjoy it with friends and family. So
Yeah. I love this year's matchup, too. The Saints versus Vikings.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quality matchup this year, too. It definitely, unfortunately on Thanksgiving, sometimes you get some real stinker matchups, but Christmas matchups are usually pretty good.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. And you don't get it every year, so this is nice.
No.
All right. Okay, Blake. I like it. We're going to go to the next one here. It's Blake, hell no, hell yeah. I like that we both picked questions about decorations and we didn't talk about it. Can you decorate too much during the holidays? Hell no, hell yeah.
hell yeah.
All right. What do you have a line? Is there a line
all
that
right.
crosses?
All right, so when you have to start bringing out generators,
Okay.
and in the case of the folks down the street from Medium Play Megan and I, 2 generators,
Yeah.
there's a problem. When you need additional power source other than your home to put your yard together, there's an issue, guys. Mike, these folks up the street, and God bless them, I never spoke a word to the people. They live a couple blocks down. But
Okay.
other than waving at them as I drive by on my way to work every morning, like 2 generators, and they have all those blow up things, right? The things
Yeah.
that and they have this Rudolph that I
Okay.
swear to God is more than 2 stories tall. It's tall. It's taller than their house. They have a ranch home, and it's taller than their house. So, but they have all these blow-ups and different things. Like I said, they have 2 generators running. You can see them right up by the garage. They're chained up by the garage. And then, Mike, the funniest thing about that house this year is there's a house 5 or 6 up. So once you turn the corner, because they're right on a corner, you turn the corner and go up the street. there's another house about 5-6 houses up that I think are competing with them.
Oh, so I mean, you know what's going to happen? It's going to slowly make its way down to you, Blake.
First off, no. Although I did tell Medium Play Megan, I said once the second kiddo gets here next year, I'll decorate the outside next year. So,
okay.
But like I said, these guys up the street, man, they're getting out of hand. It's like the Griswolds versus the Cranks up there. It's getting crazy.
Yeah, you know what?
You're gonna be able to see that thing from the space station.
Okay. What's funny is there's been news stories on like streets that are doing it big this year and all that, so people can have something to do, like just go drive through it. There's like waits. There's like waits to get in like random neighborhoods and things like that. Yeah. I feel like the blow up ones are like something I'd make a decision on when I was like drunk. Like, oh yeah, I had a couple too many Christmas ales or something from Great Lakes, or too much spiked eggnog, and all of a sudden I wake up and there's a giant Santa Claus or Rudolph blow up doll in my like living room. Like, oh, what did I do last night?
Right. No, and like I said, we decorate the inside of the house and different things, but a little less the last 2 years, just because obviously we've been expecting the last 2 Christmases, so she hasn't felt quite up to going crazy with everything. But yeah, these people, man, they get crazy with it around here. You just mentioned a couple of the ones that go nuts. We have a lot of them around here that have the music, right? And the thing I do like about that is most of them have a box when you pull up. It's usually canned foods or donations or toys for tots, whatever the case may be. And we always usually take something, and we're actually planning on doing that later this week with the little guy. So I do like those ones because they can get really creative.
Oh, those are awesome.
There's one right in our little township here, right on our way heading south. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they do like all old school rock and stuff, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, Blake, I feel like we got to get back to the Playmakers. As much as we were having a good time and some Christmas conversation, trying to be seasonal here, it's time to get some wire fire, right?
Let's do it, brother. So I'll jump in first, my friend. Playmakers, as we've been telling you the last handful of weeks, it's a desolate wasteland out there on the waiver wire. So these are guys that are owned, like we always try to promise, under 50% ownership. I know I usually do SPN. Mike does Yahoo. So we try to give you a little vantage point from both sites. Mike, I'll start this week. Running back is Salvon Ahmed from the Miami Dolphins, owned in just 33% of ESPN.com leagues. Mike, in weeks where he's had at least 10 touches, he's averaging over 16 points. And Myles Gaskin's still pretty banged up. It's kind of remaining to be seen if he'll start this week or even suit up at all. And they're playing the Raiders, who allow a league-leading 23 rushing touchdowns, Mike. So if Ahmed gets the start and gets the bulk of the carries, could have a 1-2 touchdown day on our hands here, just purely from game flow. Both these teams do like to run the rock, so definitely going to be interesting there. I also like what they've done with Tua in this running game. It adds a little flexibility to this running game down in Miami. There's one more, pair of legs that people have to worry about that they previously didn't, under Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, an exciting group down there in Miami right now. Like we talked about last week on the show, a group that not many of us really saw.
I saw them as like a 500 or below team that was going to be good in 2 years or a year, right?
Mike, and we talked about it, like I said last week, most folks peg this team to be picking in the top 10 again.
Yeah.
So and they're
Flores deserves credit, right?
And they're probably going to make playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Depending on what happens. So it's pretty crazy, my friend. We'll stick on the East Coast, Mike. My wide receiver for this week, and I kind of foreshadowed it a little earlier when we were talking about Julio Jones, and that's Russell Gage from the Atlanta Falcons. Mike, when Julio got that plasma injection in his foot this week, he committed to trying to play this week. But Mike, Falcons, like I said, eliminated from playoff contention. Why force feed Julio Jones at this point? Why put him at further harm? So if he does play, I mean, barring them coming out and blatantly stating that he's going to play normal reps, I wouldn't expect the same amount of reps from Julio Jones this week. And the thing is, Mike, it's still not certain that he will play. He's still carrying a questionable designation as of right now, as we went live on the show. So if he's out this week, Russell Gage, a nice streaming start, caught a touchdown last week in Julio's absence. Chiefs rank in the bottom half of the league in allowing receiving touchdowns. And to be honest, Mike, the Chiefs allowed a guy named Lil Jordan to catch a touchdown last week, so anything is possible.
I love it. Look, and the Chiefs, here's the thing. They get ahead of you People are going to have to throw. They know, and here's the thing. You can't just run the ball against the Chiefs and try to shorten the game. Most teams can't do that, so everyone knows they have to get into a race with them as much as they don't want to. So, yeah, I think anybody against the Chiefs if they're going to get a good amount of targets, is a great play. So, Blake, don't be mad at me. I did sneak over to ESPN a little bit for my first wire fire pick. Lynn Bowden. I have to stress this, though, and the reason being is he is listed as a running back and a wide receiver on ESPN. And I'm thinking in deep leagues, if you look at it, the running back position is razor thin. Then you have people going out. It just makes it even harder. So, look, he had 6 receptions for 37 yards. It's not crazy numbers. It isn't. But if you all of a sudden lose your guy and you don't get the backup, somebody else locked him up for you, Lynn Bowden might save you. So that's the whole point there. He is only owned in 30. I'm sorry, I had it up here and I deleted it on accident. Yeah, he's not above 50. I know that. Let's just go with that. But yeah, and the key is that he is going to fit into either one of your positional spots and give you some flexibility if you have a last minute scratch. And I think it's a decent floor because he's going to get several targets. I think you just got to watch a little bit is if Gesicki and Parker are out for a second straight game. But I like him as a person you can pick up in the last minute, especially if something happens Saturday early morning or something like that where we get news and you just don't get your guy and you can make a play. The wide receiver here, I'm going to come back to Yahoo for you, Blake. Kiki Kuti, he had only owned in 41% of leagues on Yahoo, 45% on ESPN. Look, he has touchdowns in the past 2 games. We know that Fuller's been out. And the thing is, even better, he gets a Bengals team that's not great unless they're playing the Steelers. So I think you can trust him. Look, people might sleep on him. They'd be down. The thing they're probably going to remember from the highlights this week is that he fumbled to seal the loss. But he's going to get his targets, and he's going to get his touches if you're in a bad spot. In 41% of leagues, that's somebody you most likely will be able to go out and get. So Kiki Kuti, and he still has Watson thrown to him. So go get him, playmakers.
I like him, my friend. I like him. Well, Mike, great.
You're a little bit quiet there, bud.
Oh, am I?
A little bit.
Weird. Like I said, Mike, great show, my friend. Playmakers, thank you for the questions. It was a busy week for questions this week, so please keep them coming. We love the interaction on the show. Go give us a follow over on Twitter at WTW_podcast. That's where the show goes out each and every week live at 9:30. Please follow our parent account at BigPlay_com. That's where you can check out all of our shows. Monday, we have the Yacht Club, the Big Play Cleveland Reflog Show. Tuesdays, our guys over in Maryland, Birdland BS, covering everything Baltimore and Terps. They're live right before us here on Working the Wire. Mm-hmm. Wednesdays, we have Nick Padone with Padone My Tape, taking you through everything Cleveland. Thursdays in the backfield with Peyton Hillis, talk a lot of Browns and Cleveland on that show as well. And then the Newbies, Voice of the Land, following up all of your Cleveland Browns games on Sunday. Michael, anything else for the Playmakers this week, my friend?
No, I think we hit a lot, but hit us up. We got Friday games, Saturday games, Sunday games. We'll be available, folks. Use us. We'd love it. Hashtag AskWTW.
Yeah, I have to echo that. Please, we are here. Mike and I had a choice when we wanted to come back and start a show, and one of the things we both agreed on is we love the interactions with playmakers, and we loved helping you guys out. And we got a lot of comments on our fantasy football locks on the Big Play podcast, so this is something we enjoy doing mainly to help you guys out. So please use us as a resource. Should you see fit, rather. And additionally, guys, please have a happy, safe holiday season. We wish you and your families all the very best. We hope everybody stays safe, and best of luck, playmakers, in your championship weeks. If this is championship week for you, we will